Our name is Ghosts Want You Dead. There is a stillness here, while wild, unbridled energies rally all around us, threatening. Yet, we only feel a pensive pressure with no release. Which is to say, it's a stormy night in our area, but the storms are just passing us, which is a bummer because we like storms.
Hello, I'm Matthew.
I'm Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Yes, Matthew.
I finished Lena Dunham's book and I think you should read it.
Did you like it?
I did, and I think you will as well.
Did she
And
write
there
a...
is a lot for you to relate to in it.
Oh, okay.
She has all of your same health problems,
Oh,
it
yeah.
turns out.
All of the bendy, achy, breaky,
And the
and,
endometriosis, and had the hysterectomy,
yeah,
and all the mental health stuff, and
party.
being a messy fat girl in her 20s. I think you would enjoy it.
Well, I might give it a go.
But it was good.
Did she tell any off-putting stories?
Yes, and she addressed all the previous
Drama around
things
dead.
she got in
Yeah,
trouble for.
sure.
Uh,
Does she talk shit on Adam Driver in the book?
yes,
Nice.
but in such a way that she kind of lets him off the hook.
Oh,
In that she's like, yeah, he was a horrible asshole, but also I let him be, so also it's my fault for allowing it because I
yeah.
was technically his boss at the time.
Sure, but patriarchal structures, I don't know. I could argue some on that, but I mean, ultimately it's her experience, and if that's how she felt, the only way I'll know for sure is to read the book. So maybe I will do that.
Well, I also read another book because, as is always the case, all of my ebook holds at the library always become available at the same time. So, in addition to Lena Dunham's Famesick, I also read the latest in a series of gay copaganda mystery romancy books that I enjoy even though I don't want to. We touched on this yesterday, I think, in the car, you and I, but I'm sure it is somehow wrong-headed of me, but I don't enjoy when straight women write gay romance novels.
You
And
said you were going
uh,
to go into detail about that, and I find that
I
interesting.
just find it off-putting. I do not like the cis straight ladies that make huge careers out of writing gay romance. I don't know, it just ekes me out.
Well, do you feel like it's a fetishizing?
I do. It's hard to argue the like oppression Olympics of it
Sure.
because who can say,
Yeah.
which community is more marginalized, and
Well, I don't think it has to come down to that.
ladies have it worse than gay dudes in some regards, but not others. And so it's not
Sure.
like
Well,
the
intersectionality
the
is,
fetishization of one marginalized community by another.
well, yes. I think what I was getting at is more gender and like there may be women who are genuinely connected to that, or but if you're talking about just women who are like purporting themselves as 100% like cis straight, like cis hetero white women typically, probably, is that what you're... I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't like it. So I don't tend to read books about gay dudes by ladies.
Yeah, no, that I mean, I suppose that's fair.
And that is how I came upon this gay copaganda series that I like because it is a book about a gay dude written by a gay dude, which is rare.
I can honestly see what you mean by that.
However, it is also about a cop and fuck the police.
Yeah, that.
And the author tries to work in all sorts of social justicey things. And it's like, okay, good for you being aware of that stuff. But then also, why are you writing about a fucking cop? Like,
Well, yeah. That's a similar complex feelings I had about 1099 because
I don't know
formulaically
what that is.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know why I
Oh,
said
okay.
1099. That's wrong.
I didn't never watch that.
I don't know why 1099 came to my mind, but
Is that the one that has Mr. Joanna Newsom?
it has Mr. Jonah Newsom and it had
He gets on
that.
my nerves.
I like him in some things. I like Mr. Jonah Newsom. Andy Samberg is who we're talking about, if in case you
I
don't know
said what
who.
I said.
Fair. I'm just letting people know in case they don't know, because they should. I mean, I do think it's good to say Joanna Newsom's husband. Anyway,
Yeah, I never watched that
what I was
show.
saying about it was that it was formulaically a pretty solid comedy. It was socially woke, except it was about police. And they tried to work things into it, like you said in the book. But like ultimately, I always had complex feelings about it because
Well,
it's still that.
as I have admitted on this very program before, I am awfully fond of my bitch detective shows.
Sure.
Although, because I am poor American trash, anything British just automatically has an air of respectability about it. So
Sure.
somehow the police are less evil when they're British, which they are because they don't always carry guns there. So
Yeah, I mean,
British police are not murdering people as often as American police. So they
agreed.
are somewhat more respectable. Speaking of books, how many of the Anne Rice novels have you read?
I read The Interview with a Vampire, and I read The Queen of the Damned, and The Vampire Lestat, and another one. I don't remember. Maybe it was an Armandi one, or was there one that was about Armand specifically? I
Hmm.
think I read that one, and I think that's all. What about
And when
you?
did you read them?
When I was a young woman in my 20s, I borrowed some from you, and then I think I had one on my own, and I think I had read Interview with a Vampire before I got you, but you introduced me to more of them.
Well, I have not read all of them. I got started as a child when the film came out in 1994, which, being a spooky gay kid, I was excited about. And so my mother took me to see the Interview with the Vampire film in 1994 when I was 12. And then I promptly read all the books that had been published up to that point. And I stuck with it for a while, but I only read up to the 10th book, which was released in 2003. And that was right before Anne Rice became a Catholic again and started
Yeah.
writing weird Jesus-y books.
Yeah, I
And
definitely didn't read any of those.
then after that, there were three books in 2014, 16, and 18 after she decided, I guess, maybe she wasn't as Catholic anymore. And instead of hanging out with Jesus old Lestat comes back and goes to Atlantis or
Oh
some
boy.
nonsense that
All right.
I never read. But I was very fond of the Anne Rice novels in middle school and kept reading them until 2003. I even read her porn published under pseudonyms.
Yeah,
I bring that up to say the TV show starts back tomorrow.
I'm excited and a little nervous because, as we have discussed, the vampire Lestat is the cheesiest of all.
The story is silly.
It is silly and a rock star vampire, but I will watch anything Sam Reed does.
Did you see clips of the little live show they made him do
Yes,
the other night?
it's very fun and very silly, and I haven't seen all of it. I saw like one or two clips.
Well, I propose that we watch it individually over the weekend and reconvene Sunday night or Monday morning to do our little recap.
I am hopeful for the performance because I like the actors. I think that Sam Reed is a very good actor and like takes himself very seriously in a cute way and is like focused on trying to do his very bestest job. And I just think he's going to do good. I'm like, he'll figure it out because he has seemed very authentic to the character in the last two seasons.
But I too am excited about it and also nervous that it will be silly and bad. Do you have anything else you would like to address?
I don't really.
Shall we talk about Dark Shadows?
I would love to. Episode 186. Victoria Winters tells us that it's cold at night and the sea is listening to ghosts or something. She continues her voiceover, and this one is fairly long winded and mostly just saying that they're waiting at the old house for Dr. Guthrie to come to the seance. We see the old house and Vicky through a broken window. She is looking anxious and saying she wishes Guthrie would get here. Sam is talking to David about Josette and how this was her house, and he asks if she was one of the ones that yeeted herself into the sea. Everyone is anxious, and Vicky says that everyone should just chill and wait for Guthrie and sit quietly on the other side of the room from that creepy old drunk. We then see Dr. Daddy driving in a superimposed flames again, saying, "No, no, no, it's Laura Murdoch, no." And he crashes again, and the scene is a slightly different shot than last time.
Now, when others are talking about it after the fact, everybody seems to say his car burst into flames and that caused him to crash. But that's not what we see happen either time. He narrates step by step about how, oh no, the
Yes.
brakes, I can't control the car, it won't stop, I'm trying to stop and it won't stop.
And we see
And
the fire over him, but it's
it's
obviously supposed to be magic
it's just
fire.
the spectral fire, and
Yeah.
he crashes into a tree. And we do not see the car ignite. It cuts away and then cuts back to the car on fire. So
Yes.
they are telling a different story than what we are seeing, but I guess none of them actually saw it. So maybe it's just a bad game of small town telephone.
Sure. That may be it, but I also think it was probably just an oversight. Back at the old house, Vicky and David are sitting and waiting, and David wants to start without Guthrie. Vicky says they can't. Sam is impatient. Vicky says that they can depend on Guthrie. They just need to be patient. And then we cut to poor Dr. Daddy's car wrecked and engulfed in flames. Opening
Opening
credits.
credits at the Blue Whale. Joe has put a nickel in the jukebox to play the happy blue whale music. It tickled me that they made a point to show Joe intentionally playing the song that is always playing in the
Yes.
blue whale. Like, maybe
That's
it's
just
because Joe goes in and just feeds a million nickels into the machine and
that is funny.
plays his favorite song all the time. But at any rate, Burke enters and strikes up a conversation because I guess they're friends now. Burke wants to know all about the grave robbing. Joe is suspicious of Burke, thinking that he's on Laura's side of the whole thing.
This entire exchange was just like heavy laden with homoerotic subtext, and it was great. This conversation could be taken an entirely different way.
Exactly. Well, there is tension
Yeah,
happening,
it's
and
hot. It's cute.
Burke makes some flirty remarks, but before he can get into Joe's pants, a phone call takes Joe away from the bar, and it's Maggie calling to tell him of Guthrie's fiery, feathered death. We infer from his end of the conversation. He returns to Burke and confirms that Dr. Guthrie is indeed dead. When Burke hears that he died by fire, suspicious music begins, and Joe explains that Dr. Guthrie was headed to the old house to have a seance with Vicky and Sam and David. So he leaves to go tell all of the folks assembled at the old house, and Burke invites himself along.
Yeah, Berg's just like, I'm coming with you. We see a shot of Josette's portrait at the old house, and Sam is pacing. Vicky's getting worried, and Sam is overweighting and about to bounce, but David is bored and wants to go upstairs and explore and play, but Vicky thinks everyone needs to just wait and chill, and she's listening to her ghost senses.
David is being annoying, so Vicky talks him down. Sam is also being annoying, and she also tries to talk him down. Alas, nothing and no one can make him any less horrible. But the subject is changed when David begins to feel a presence, a restless wind.
Yeah, Sam and Vicky say they don't feel anything, and David goes on to explain how extrasensory perception works and says you don't have to feel the air to know it's there, man, or whatever, which is a fun, creepy thing for a kid to say. He tells them to listen to the spooky theremin, and Vicky tries, but instead hears a car and is like, oh, Dr. Daddy's home. It's just Burke and Joe, and they rush in to make sure everyone's okay. Vicky is confused by this and says Joe isn't supposed to be here. Burke asks Joe if he's ever been to the old house, and he says he has not, and Burke uses this to get David out of the room by requesting that he show Joe around upstairs. They go to do that, and Burke tells them that Guthrie is dead. Vicky is heartbroken, and he continues to tell them how it happened, and the bursting into flames and dying by fire. And Sam's like, fire bad, and just because he's repeating everything he said, and he was like, fire.
He goes,
Flame!
Flames!
That's the, oh no, that's what, yeah, but in my mind, it was just fire bad. Vicky is in disbelief, and Sam starts bellowing about how it had to be Laura. Vicky is grief stricken, and she's blaming herself because he was trying to help them, and she feels like Guthrie was also their last hope and doesn't know what they'll do to protect David and figure out what's going on with Liz, who I feel like we've almost forgotten about. Like, we're worried about David, but Liz is still
She'll be back
in
next
her
week.
bird coma. Oh, sweet. I miss her. Anyway, yeah, Burke wants them to leave and get out of the old house. And at first, Vicky agrees. Burke goes to get David and is hollering for him and Joe. But while they're gone, Vicky is entranced by her bestie Josette and suddenly is, I guess, like downloads the information that no, we should go ahead and stay and do the seance. Burke isn't so sure about this, but he kind of pacifies her and is like, okay, honey, sure, like you do. Sam wants to leave because he's scared and doesn't want to get fire possessed again. And Burke kind of shames him for being a scaredy cat and a coward when David needs their help. And I guess that works.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Sam a lot, but he has already been magically set on fire once, so I could see being a little hesitant.
Sure, I'll give him that. Joe and David come downstairs and Joe asks what's going on and they tell him that they're thinking of doing the seance. David gets right into it and lights the candle. He doesn't ask or wait. He's just like, oh, hell yeah, we're doing a seance.
Well, initially, Burke wants to join in, but Vicky sends he and Joe outside, saying, no, it should just be the three of us because she already likes us.
Yeah, because they're the ones that Josette has used in some way. They're the spooky kids with the medium powers.
And when she sends Burke and Joe outside, she tells them that no matter what they hear or how freaky it gets in there, that they must not interrupt. Vicky beckons Sam and David to sit, and she talks them through the process of having a seance in the same manner as Dr. Daddy did when she channeled Josette. And we see the same cool overhead shots of their hands on the table with their fingertips touching in a circle. Vicky says Josette Collins several times,
She did.
dialing up the drama with each repetition.
It
And
was pretty good.
she does a pretty good spirit summoning routine. If this were happening today, I would say if the acting thing doesn't work out, you might consider a career as a medium. But alas, we know the acting thing didn't work out, and instead she considered a career as a documentarian. This time, it's David who starts to moan, but thankfully, he sounds more constipated than
Yeah, I
horny.
was gonna say it was not inappropriate or awkward so much as just a little potty humor came to mind.
He gives what I found to be a stilted performance of channeling Laura Murdoch Radcliffe's dead son, David, being bird brainwashed into being willingly set on fire by his bird mother. Ghost David, speaking through living David, tells Vicky that a little house by the sea will burn and someone will die. He then does some hollering that made Rebecca emotional, but I did not share her reaction before the end credits.
So I agreed with you at the beginning of his like possession or whatever. Like he didn't really, he just kind of was like, is this how you do a seance, boys? Like, but then
And
when
in
he like,
rehearsals, Alexandra Moltke had to be like, no, not like that, hornier.
no, no, no. Um, I was just like touched by his acting. I thought he did a really good job of like portraying sheer terror and like being a little kid and being really scared. And he like scrunched up his face and it looked like my kid's face. And it was like, oh, that's when my kid is scared or sad. And I was like, David, which later, David, David, David.
Yeah.
These are the episodes of David, David, David.
Anyway, episode 187. Victoria Winters reminds us it is a spooky night at Collinwood. And Bird Lady done burnt up Dr. Daddy. Also, David was possessed by past life David. The clock chimes over Carolyn lurking in the foyer. She enters the drawing room, oddly to the Laura is up to something music. Vicky and Burke, who is carrying David, enter, and it is kinda cute and sad on account of Burke possibly being his father, and they're having a sweet, silly moment where he's carrying him in like a bride on a honeymoon and decides he's going to carry him all the way upstairs, and David is thrilled, and it was cute and sad.
It was sweet. And
Carolyn demands to know what happened. Vicky tells her that Dr. Guthrie is dead, and Carolyn makes a good shocked face before the opening credits.
Vicky tells Carolyn about the crash and the flames, and Carolyn says another death by fire and tries to figure out what all this means.
Carolyn ponders another death by fire, but doesn't immediately blame Laura, which is funny because
Every
Carolyn's
other
always the
time,
one
yeah.
that's like, it must have been Laura.
I didn't catch that, but you're right. She always does, and
And
this time
oddly,
didn't.
Vicky blames
Yeah.
Laura this
Vicky's
time.
like, it's Laura.
But
Duh.
Carolyn does get on board pretty quick and is like, yeah, you're right. She must be stopped.
Yeah, Vicky tells Carolyn about the unsupervised seance with David and that it wasn't Josette this time, it was David Radcliffe. And Burke comes down to tell Vicky that David is ready for bed and asking for her. And Vicky goes up to check on him. There's something about having Mrs. Johnson make him cocoa. Carolyn offers Burke a drink and he accepts and is like, this has been a crazy day with seances and dead guys and things.
And she's like, how'd you get all involved in this? Aren't you up Laura's ass?
Right.
He explains how he got involved in that he just got to chatting with Joe at the bar when he got the call from Maggie, who was probably calling everybody whose phone number she knew to say,
Sure.
guess what happened, you guys?
Oh my God.
Uh, Carolyn wants to know where Burke stands vis-a-vis her undead bird aunt's crimes. He is now officially on Team Carolyn and Vicky and suggests that they need to do something about Laura.
Upstairs, Vicky goes to check on David and bring him an extra blanket. David says he feels weird and tired from the seancing, but he doesn't remember anything. And he wants to know what happened.
Vicky is reluctant to tell him. She glosses over the whole ghost thing and is just like, oh, well, you just got sleepy, is all.
And that makes me mad because I think that surely he could be reasoned with if someone were to say, you were possessed by the ghost of yourself from another time,
And also, mommy is trying to kill
and mommy
you.
is trying to kill you. And you told you that mommy is trying to kill you.
That
I
might
feel
be a
like,
little much for a 9-year-old to
oh,
wrap
I
his
don't
head
know.
around.
Probably. Well, he describes feeling like he was moving really fast and hearing echoes, and he heard someone calling his name. And Vicky's like, "Oh, that was me," and he's like, "No, it wasn't. It was someone else." He starts to kind of freak out.
David throws a fit about being too heavily supervised and how he doesn't like everybody watching him all the time and also keeping secrets from him. He feels like the grown-ups are leaving him out of stuff and not telling him things. So
And the suddenness of all that, too, makes me think that it was bird magic mostly that was making him be like, just suddenly, fuck all
that,
y'all, I want to get out of here. But
or
they
he
did,
knows Vicky is lying to him and remembers more than he's said.
and no one's told
And
him Guthrie's dead.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
but at any rate, he's mad at all of them and says tomorrow he's going to ask Mother to take him away from all this.
Downstairs, Burke and Carolyn talk about how Laura is backed into a corner. Carolyn hopes that she'll just go away. Burke doesn't think she's going to back down from a fight. Roger comes in and Carolyn starts to tell him about Guthrie, but he has already heard the news and it's broken all over town because Maggie's been calling everybody all night.
Roger and Burke are being weirdly friendly with one another. Like, they have just intuited that their personal bullshit isn't important right now.
Yeah.
Roger is feeling guilty for being a dick to Dr. Guthrie now that he's been burnt up by his wife. Burke says that he thinks Laura killed Guthrie and incapacitated Liz. And Roger doesn't disagree, but is like, well, if that's true, then which one of us is next?
Yeah. Vicky comes down and tells them David is upset and that he doesn't remember what happened and he's just distraught about it and doesn't want anything to do with us. They ask her if she knew any of Guthrie's plans for stopping Laura. She says no. What about his notes and tape recorder? But they inform her that they were destroyed in the crash. They talk about how to save David and they come up with a plan to send him away on a fishing trip with Burke and have Roger tell Laura to leave. Vicky has a feeling that things are going to go down soon, so all this needs to happen quickly. Roger and Burke go up to check on David and ask him if he wants to go with Burke for a fishing trip. He wants to go, but is going to go see Mother tomorrow. He is determined. And Burke describes how fun it will be and about the fishing cabin and how you got to take a little plane. And he's tempted and agrees and says that he'll talk to Mother himself.
In this conversation, David also confesses to Roger and Burke that tomorrow he plans to tell Laura that he does want to leave and go live with her. And they try and play it cool, and they're like, oh, cool. How nice for you. Anyway, about those fish we're going to catch.
Yeah.
Burke offers to talk to Laura on David's behalf to make excuses about going on the trip. But David says he wants to do it himself. And that's when Burke manipulates him some more with more tantalizing fish activities until David finally agrees to skip going to see his mom and go fishing early in the morning. So Burke says he'll pick him up at 6:30 in the morning and says good night. Roger
They
also says good night, and then David smiles real big into his
I
pillow.
know. I was like, this is the sitcom spinoff we need.
David and his two dads
David and his two
going
dads
fishing.
going fishing. I would watch that. All of it. Cuties. I like Roger and Burke's chemistry. They really do just play well with each other when they're being mad or when they're being nice. They tuck their child in and then leave, and they come downstairs chummy and talking. And
Regarding them being chummy when they come downstairs, we did leave out earlier a moment ago when they were downstairs talking to Carolyn. Burke and Roger do verbalize like they're calling a truce regarding Manslaughter Club while all this bird lady stuff plays out. So it wasn't just implied, they did say truce for now so we can keep our son from getting burnt up.
there. Yeah, they came down all chummy because of what Matthew just said. I don't know how you're going to put this together. We're a mess. They tell Carolyn that David has taken the bait for the fishing trip.
You guys get it?
Yeah,
Bait
the
and
bait.
fish and bait.
Yeah. Just then, Vicky starts freaking out and saying that tonight is 100 years since other Laura,
Radcliffe.
yeah, Laura Radcliffe burned up, and something is going to happen to David tonight.
End credits. Episode 188. Victoria Winters reminds us lots of people have died around Collinwood, and she's worried that David will join them tonight. She says as much to Roger and Burke over coffee, and they review their plan for Burke to take David away fishing until Roger can get rid of Laura. Vicky is still worried that she's going to do whatever evil shit she has planned tonight. Opening credits.
Yeah, Vicky is adamant that that is how things are going down and that something's going to happen. But Burke and Roger have been sort of dismissive of her, and she wants Burke to take David. Roger says he's not going to listen and do what he wants. She feels like Roger going to talk to Laura is a bad idea because that's just going to make her do more bird magic at them. She's trying to tell Burke to take David tonight, and she's trying to tell Roger not to go poke the bird lady, and nobody's listening to her because she's a woman, and that is dumb, but also may be correct in this instance. At the cottage, Roger has come down to tell Laura, who is sitting by the fire, that Guthrie has been killed in a fiery crash. And Laura, holding back a smile, says in a flat, very Katharine Hepburn-esque voice, "How dreadful." I can't do it, but how dreadful. Like, very clipped and wonderful.
We cackled.
We did.
Roger accuses her of not caring, and she asks if he wants her to lie to him. Roger says that their drama has come to a head and something's got to happen, and shocking Roger, Laura agrees and tells him that this is all too much drama and she has decided to leave. She makes a big show of feeling defeated, saying her opposition is just too great. And so she says she's taking the bus to Boston in the morning. Roger offers to drive her. She says that it would probably be better if she doesn't say goodbye to David, and that Roger should just tell him whatever he thinks is best. Roger is shocked, and during this conversation, Laura has her back to Roger while she's pretending to take the moral high ground and do what is best for David. And she's giving a big speech about, well, I really do love him and just want him to come live with me, but all you guys ganging up on me, that's just too much for him to have to put up with. So I'm going to be the bigger person and do what's best for David. And while she's giving this speech, she's rolling her eyes a lot and then
Yeah.
doing cute little villainous smiles. And she makes a crazy face after he leaves, grinning triumphantly to herself.
Oh, it is
But it's a
bonkers.
weird, like, half bird lady face, open mouthed
It's
grin.
it's creepy and fun. I love it. Back at Collinwood, Burke tells Vicky that he's going to come get David first thing. He is about to leave, but Roger comes in and tells them that everything is well and Laura is leaving on her own accord and without David. Vicky and Burke both don't buy it, but Roger still thinks that she's just decided and has admitted defeat. To be fair, I think he knows her. If you're just going logically, he knows her as someone who has had mental instability and whatever caused her to go to the sanatorium. Was it sanatorium? You knew which one it
I
was at
think
one
we
point.
landed on sanitarium.
Sanitarium. She went off to the sanitarium for alcohol and mental health treatment. I could imagine that he's like, well, my crazy wife blew in and threatened everybody and killed Guthrie, but has decided she doesn't need the kid. I don't know. Like,
At any rate, Roger believed her, and Burke and Vicky are suspicious. Burke says that he's going to go see Laura because he will know if she's lying, which is hilarious.
yep, because she's been fucking with his head this whole time like a
Yep.
ping pong ball. Like one minute he's like that fucking bird bitch, and the next then he's like, oh
Whom
Laura,
I
my
love and want to
darling,
run away with.
birdie birdie.
Roger believes Laura at any rate, and he tells Vicky that Laura didn't even want to say goodbye to David, which Vicky thinks is real fucking weird. At the
And
cottage,
it is.
yeah,
Like,
at the cottage, Laura is doing fire witchery, so when Burke knocks, she says she's busy and to go away.
but he busts in anyhow, and she's packing, and Burke says he came to just ask one thing. Are you really leaving? And she says yes, and he says he wanted to confirm and is glad that she's leaving, and she acts hurt. he is mad and believes that she is an evil bird woman. So she does some evil bird woman magic and starts crying magically, I think, or maybe just regular emotional manipulation.
Well, at first she's just trying to do bird lady crocodile tears, but when that doesn't work, she does manage to produce a single tear. And she's like, everyone's against me, and all of this turmoil can't be good for David, so I've got to go, for his benefit. And see this single tear? Does that make you believe my almost convincing performance? And
And I did think this was kind of nicely nuanced, just because Burke does begin to soften then, but mostly just in a kind of sad, like, wow, she's evil now. And also, she always kind of was. And
yeah.
I have experienced that in my life.
Well, the
And
score goes a long way towards this here, because they're sort of just bickering the way they always do, but it is backed by sad romantic music.
yeah,
And it's all very dramatic as Burke and Laura say their final goodbye. But then he says something shitty to her on the way out. I can't remember what it
I don't
is.
remember exactly, but it was like, you're not a part of my future and you were a shitty part of my past. Peace out, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
mic
And
drop.
this
Then she
is
made
all exactly going to Laura's plan, and she makes another little satisfied face to
yeah,
herself.
her little wild bird eyes are great. Just
A-
ooh.
And then she returns to the fire as the music changes from the sad romance music back to her little bird mischief tune. In David's room, Victoria enters and tucks in the sleeping child, and she makes a big show of locking his door for the camera's benefit. Downstairs, Roger is pacing in the drawing room when Vicky comes down and lets Burke in when he knocks, and he's come to report about his conversation with Laura. He also believes that she is leaving, and the two men dismiss their little governess as they often do. She's still concerned, but they're both like, well, if we both believe her, then what could your opinion possibly count for?
Right.
Roger says he will put her on the bus in the morning, and Burke tries to weasel out of the fishing trip, but Vicky strong arms him into agreeing to follow through. And she also says a lot of things she has already said. They're uh, stalling for time here to get to the Friday cliffhanger.
Right. However, Vicky definitely is concerned and decides that she is going to stay with David all night and make sure that he is safe. But as she is saying this, she's a little too late, because up in David's room, Laura has materialized and has woken him and is Daviding. Or does she David? I didn't write that, but in
She
my memory,
does,
yeah, she
and she's doing
David.
her slow hypnotic voice to tell him that
That they're going to go away together tomorrow night
at 11:30.
at 11:30. Exactly.
And David explains about, oh, well, that means I have to not go fishing with Burke, and that's a bummer. She explains that going away with her has to be a secret and nobody can know
Yeah, like
because
she's bird napping him.
what's actually happening is she's saving him because Roger is going to send him to military school. So she's whisking him away in secret to save him from having to go off to boarding school. She does all manner of bird magic manipulation and makes plans for him to sneak out of the house tomorrow night at 11:30 and meet her at the old fishing shack, and then they will go away together. But she tells him he should fake sick in the morning so he doesn't have to go fishing. And that also, if Roger or Vicky or anybody tells her that Mother has left town, to not worry about it. She'll be back for him at 11:30. and then she hypnotizes him back to sleep.
Vicky is coming into the locked room and Laura looks over, but by the time Vicky gets in, she has dematerialized. Vicky goes to watch over David. Damage already done. End credits. Episode 189. Victoria Winters says that it's daytime, cloudy, windy, with a 70% chance of bird lady magic. David wakes up and Vicky is in his room and he's like, "You stayed here all night?" David asks if she's still afraid, and she says that she's all right and she was afraid last night, but she's not afraid. Not afraid at all. Opening credits.
Mrs. Johnson knocks to ask if they want to have breakfast upstairs since maybe David is faking sick. Mrs. Johnson also accidentally spills the beans about Mother being gone, but David takes it well and says he would just
I
rather
didn't
not talk about it.
I didn't read it like that. She starts to blab in front of David about Laura leaving, but Vicky cuts her off. He says, "Oh, he already knows about Mother, and that's okay." And Vicky chalks that up to ghost friend powers, I think, because he's always saying he knows things, because sometimes, and the ghosts told him.
At the diner at the inn, Burke enters and tells Maggie that, gee, he's relieved that Laura got on the bus, and she is also relieved, but now, suddenly, Burke is a little conflicted about it because she is evil and trying to immolate his maybe bastard son, but also he has a boner for her. Joe enters, and Maggie reminds us that whatever might have happened to David was supposed to happen last night, so we guess today everything is fine. Joe is going on about the date of the old timey newspaper article about the dead Redcliffs. He has a nagging feeling all of this isn't over, and he warns Burke that he has to watch David very closely. Maggie still is being chipper about it and says that Sam sure slept soundly knowing that Laura was leaving town. And they're talking about something about the time of night that something happened, and the phrase the time of night sets Joe off, and he has some sort of realization, but doesn't share with the class.
Yeah, he mumbles like 3 o'clock last night, 3 o'clock this morning. It's the same thing. And he runs off with weird vibes and a theory.
Yeah, he heads off to investigate, and back at Collinwood in the drawing room, David is making his excuses to Burke about not going on the fishing trip. Vicky also is like, yeah, he should probably stay here, even though she was insisting not long ago that he take him when he tried to back out. So
Sure.
at any rate, David agrees to go fish with Burke, but only like at the water that they have here and as long as they're back before dark the same day. Burke also bullies Vicky into agreeing to a dinner date with him, and David is encouraging her to accept. And it is kind of cute, all of this, but it is also insidious because a gentleman knows how to take no for an answer.
Yep, Burke. He is kind of creepy about it, but it is supposed to be in good faith, and he's trying to get her to relax and, stop being so upset. And David thinks all this is going to work out, and he goes up to get ready. Vicky wants Burke to go with him to keep an eye on him and keep him safe. She's pretty frantic, and he is dismissive. Cut to the date, she is pretty frantic and he is dismissive, and all of that gives me the creeps. Mrs. Johnson is trying to wrangle David and he is being a pill. She says she's done with his shenanigans, and she does say shenanigans, and it's cute. And he keeps trying to sneak away so he can go be with Mother in Birdland, TM Patty Smith, I guess. And she won't let him go, and he's not listening and being argumentative and just really pissing her off.
Mrs. Johnson and David are very fun together. They both have like the same level of bitchiness. So when they're bickering back and forth together, they play very well off one another.
It is fun.
And I had a good time watching them argue.
It was fun. Burke and Vicky back at the date are chatting and laughing, and then Burke points out that she's been chatting and laughing, and
For half an hour.
yeah, and that's a good thing. And she's like, "Well, thanks for reminding me that everything's awful." And now I'm worried about that kid again and wants to maybe check in. Joe shows up and explains his weird 3 a.m. theory. I'll let you.
Well, Joe has come to freak Vicky out
Yeah.
by telling her about the confusion about the date of the 100 years ago fire. He reveals that the death records confirm that the fire which burned up Laura and David Radcliffe 100 years ago happened at 2:30 in the morning. So technically that's after midnight, which means yesterday wasn't exactly 100 years. Today is exactly 100 years. Ooh.
And Vicky is like, "Oh shit, we gotta go. We gotta go right now." And she's ready to grab her stuff and leave, but they convince her to just call up to Collinwood. She does, and David and Mrs. Johnson are arguing some more about homework and bedtime, and she's had enough of his bullshit. I guess, is he trying to answer the phone or wants her to answer it?
He's
And
trying to get her to answer the phone, and she's trying to get him to get into his pajamas and get ready for bed. And he bargains with her and is like, well, why don't you go answer the phone and I'll get changed and then I'll be in bed by the time you get back?
and so
After much fuss, Mrs. Johnson agrees.
to leave him alone, which is the exact thing that she had been instructed not to do. She finally goes downstairs and answers the phone. And Vicky's like, "Well, bitch, why did you leave him alone?" She's like, "Oh, he's fine." And she goes to check on him and she's hollering, "David, David, 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 David," in a wide variety of tones and voices, resulting finally in a shrieking David that I'm not going to do, but it was wild.
Yeah, she says David 1 million times, and Vicky asks her on the phone if she locked the door when she left him in there, and she's like,
Oh, no.
no, oops, sorry. And after she screams David the last time out into the hallway, we get the end credits. Episode 190. Victoria Winters reminds us that folks at Collinwood are often scared, but now they are extra scared on account of bird mischief. Mrs. Johnson descends the foyer stairs yelling for David, and she looks all around as we close up on the phone hanging off the hook as Vicky is listening in to her frantic yelling for David, and Vicky is pissed. I leave the house for 2 hours and that bitch can't do what I told her to do, and now she has lost that child and he's gonna be burnt up in a fire. She has a bad feeling.
She does.
Mrs. Johnson pops outside to check, but no luck there either. So she returns to the phone to tell Vicky that David is gone and she needs to come back right now. But Vicky has already left, and we see the mouthpiece hanging from the phone in her absence down to the whale before the opening credits.
Vicky, Burke, and Joe get back, and Mrs. Johnson is awful sorry and worried for David. And she does say that he was anxious and looking at the clock. So they surmise maybe she was, or maybe he was going to go
My clever,
find his.
handsome Joe figures that out.
You're clever.
He suggests that perhaps David and Laura had prearranged to meet somewhere at an appointed time. However, that is the extent of the clever idea because they all decide that it must have just been at the cottage. So
Yeah,
they
they're
head
like,
down there.
a little house by the sea. It must be the cottage. So the boys go to search the cottage. Meanwhile, David is at the fishing shack, the tiny little house by the sea, and he is calling for Mother, who does not answer yet. Joe and Burke look around the cottage and can't find David, but they note that the fire is going. So Laura must have been there. And
Later
they
than we
lay,
thought
yeah,
because she left for the bus early that morning and now it's 11 o'clock. So without someone tending it, the fire would be out.
they leave to continue the search.
Burke wants to check the old house and suggests that Joe check the greenhouse. Too bad we don't get to visit the greenhouse.
I want to see the greenhouse. I would like that. I like the plants.
In the drawing room, Mrs. Johnson continues to panic, and Vicky tries to be the voice of reason. And all of a sudden, when yesterday she was on her side, Mrs. Johnson suddenly mistrusts Laura and thinks that she has harmed David. She suggests that Laura must have got right off the bus as soon as they put her on it. Vicky calls the bus company to check.
Burke and Joe are out looking for David, and Burke thinks, hey, little house by the sea, let's go check the fishing shack. So they head that way, and David hears them coming, so he ducks down and hides from them.
In a box, which I think is the same box he hid from
Yes.
Vicky in
Yeah.
the basement at the main house,
They must
like
have taken it out to the fishing shack.
150 episodes ago.
Yeah.
At any rate, Burke and Joe come in hollering for David as he's cowering in a box. Burke is real quick to be like, well, guess he isn't here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Joe thinks he hears something and he asks Burke what time it is. Burke says it's 11:27 because he's counting down until midnight, reasoning by his time of day theory that whatever's going to happen has to happen before midnight because it's the same day.
Yes.
They leave to go search the beach, and David emerges from his hiding place. Back in the drawing room, the clock chimes for the half hour. The mood is somber. Mrs. Johnson and Vicky both are pulling long faces. The
Very
phone ring.
quiet. Yeah, it's very quiet. And then the phone rings and it jump scares Mrs. Johnson, Vicky, and myself. I was watching along and then was like, oh no, the phone.
Oh, I didn't notice.
But it was the bus company.
Vicky says, "Are you sure?" All confused, like, and then after hanging up, she tells Mrs. Johnson that Mrs. Collins didn't get off the bus, not where she was supposed to, and not before. The driver saw her get on the bus, but then she mysteriously disappeared.
Dun dun dun.
Back in the fishing shack, David is cold and impatient and beckons for Mother to hurry up and come on. And as if summoned, she materializes in the corner all spooky like, and her mischief theme begins, and she's ominously holding a oil lamp with the flame high. David is ready to go. He's like, Jesus, you took long enough. It's cold in here. Let's go. And Laura insists that they need to hang back a minute in case Burke and Joe are still looking around. And she hypnotizes David into calming down. Mother makes David promise never to be afraid and that they'll be together always. Theremin sting. David peers out the window and says, okay, well, the coast is clear. Let's go ahead and go. And she offers the oil lamp to him to warm up. And he says, well, it's not very warm, but okay. And she encourages him to stare deeply into the flame. And
Do a little fire magic.
he doesn't want to. And she calls him a baby. She's like, what are you scared, pussy? And
Time
she
to grow up, buddy. It's fire magic time.
She manipulates him into looking into the fire and asks what he sees, and he talks about all of the colors, and he is hypnotized. Lamp fire crossfades to drawing room fire as Vicky looks worried. She paces, and Mrs. Johnson says she's got to do something other than just sit there and wait, so she goes to make coffee. And left alone, Vicky paces more and looks into the fire, but then she smells Josette coming. And the camera goes all Vaseline blurry as if we're seeing from Josette's point of view. And she slowly approaches Vicky and is like, hey girl, I just stopped by to tell you that David's down at the fishing shack. And so in the fishing shack, Laura tells David that he'll never be cold again. And she's trying to put him in a trance, and he's not into it, so he tries to return the lamp to her, but he drops it on the floor. And this may be what she was hypnotizing him to do in the first place, because she's very pleased as the fishing shack begins to catch fire. And David's like, oh shit, a fire. We'd better go, mother. And she's like, no, look at it. Isn't it pretty? We should stay. In the drawing room, Josette is still trying to get Vicky to go to the fishing shack. She's still being real vague, and she's like, what's a place that's not the cottage or the old house, and it's by the water, and it's not big, it's little. What could it be?
Yeah.
She finally gets it, and Josette's POV withdraws, and the camera is no longer blurred, so she's got her point across. In the burning fishing shack, Laura encourages David to look into her eyes and to not be afraid. It works, and he goes real still and looks sort of robotic, and she beckons to him and stretches out her arms into the flames. What's gonna happen? End credits.
Dun dun dun.
We did it.
We did it. These were pretty exciting episodes. Rip, Dr. Daddy, you were a real one. We loved you.
Dearly departed Dr. Daddy.
I'm gonna miss Dr. Daddy just like I miss Bill. I feel like the best guys have died so far.
We still need to decide on a book to cover for book club this month, and our patrons have not weighed in on Patreon. So if you guys have any suggestions, speak now, or I'm just going to pick something.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want us to do a Dark Shadows book, we could do a different book. Like,
I
tell us what you'd
was
like to do.
I was going to make a post about that, like maybe we open it up to non-Dark Shadows books, but we'll see. At any rate, though, it's very hot in here and we've been at it for an hour and 40 minutes. And so, Rebecca, tell them the social media thing since I always say it.
Well, you should follow us at Ghosts Want You Dead on Instagram. And that's the only one I remember.
Also on YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
although the only thing on the YouTube is just the podcast, but just the audio. So soon there will be things on the YouTube, but we'll tell you when that happens.
And subscribe to our Patreon.
How do I do that?
Go to Patreon and go to Ghost Want Your Dad.
Patreon.com/ghosts want you dead.
Ghost Want Your Dad.
No, they don't.
No, neither one of our dads. But like, generally speaking. No.
Well, your dad is a ghost.
Oh, well, yeah.
And-
It's true.
but mine is still living. I just don't speak to him.
I know.
Anyway, patreon.com/ghostswantyoudead, where all the fun secret bonus things happen.
Do you want to hear about my old people ailments? Do you want to hear about books we've read? Do you want to
Shows
hear
we've
about
watched.
random crap we have to talk about?
That's where you do it.
Come join us on our Patreon. Because
Okay.
ghosts want your money.
I'm going to say goodbye, and I would like you to please go turn the air conditioner back on.
Okay, I'm hanging up now.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too.